Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
Welcome to another episode of the Your Peak Life podcast. Today, our special guest is Steffanie Battles with First Class Real Estate, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. All I know is that you're killing a real estate game and you signed up for a podcast. So that's really all I know. So I want to just start with, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from, where you went to school, family, whatever, anything.
Okay. My name is Steffanie Battles. I am going to be 35 years old. I had to think for a second. I have 3 kids, 4, 5, and 12, almost. I'm originally from Colombia.
Okay.
I moved to the States back in 2012. And currently I am married. I've been married to my husband for going on 5 years, but we've been together for like about 8. Okay. I got started in real estate 2.5 years ago. And I've been very fortunate so far. I've sold 92 houses.
Damn. So we're going to just dive right into that. Because really, you know, we do a lot of interviews here. They're not all real estate driven, but what I want to talk about is how in 2.5 years have you managed 3 kids, maintaining a relationship, maintaining a household, and building a hell of a business, you know?
So one thing I need to tell you is my mom lives with us. She moved with us from Colombia.
Well, she doesn't live with me, but
she's
my
the
mom,
daycare.
like, she lives with us. So she helps me a lot because my husband is in the car business. And, you know, that business is like just as long hours as we do.
Like ours,
yeah,
for sure.
So I definitely couldn't do everything I do without her. She supports me a lot at home.
Awesome.
My kids all go to school, thankfully, as well. But
yeah, they're in that age, right, where they all
So my little man started going to school this year. But she's always the one that's been like helping me out at home so that I can do everything else that I do.
No doubt. Absolutely.
So Travis is eating good.
Yes.
Travis is her husband, by the way. He's eating good.
I mean, where does he work at?
Casey Chevrolet. He's a general sales manager there.
Okay. Well, a little plug. If you need a Chevy, go see Travis.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
My next question is, you've only been here for 12 years.
Yes.
What's that been like as far as coming here, figuring out what you were going to do to earn income or start your family? Or,
what's that culture shock like?
It was really hard at the beginning. I am from the city, like where I'm from, Cali, Colombia. It's like complete city. So when I came here, this was for me like traumatizing. That was like,
so could you give an example? Like what would a city in America look like?
New York.
If you could. Okay.
You always see people out walking and a lot of traffic and
food stands and people selling stuff and magazine cards, like the whole 9.
Yes, literally. So, you know, coming here, it's gorgeous and it's so cheap. Well, for us with dollars.
Right.
But when I got here, I initially made it to Newport News. That's where my ex-husband brought me here.
Okay.
So we were living in Newport News, and I remember the little street we were living in, like, had no, like, light posts. It was, like, crazy. So, like, you know, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, in the wintertime, which I got here in September. So pretty quick we got into winter. It was, like, everything just so dark, and I was so depressed. I was pregnant with my oldest. So it was, like, very shocking for me to go from so much activity to like a country where I didn't know how to drive. My English was still not like the best, but it was not great at all back in the day. And just depending so much on, like, over there I could grab a public bus very easily or a cab. Here it was like very hard. And then I didn't have the best relationship in the day. And it was very lonely. And I was going through like physical abuse, like mental abuse. It was really hard at the beginning. And then my mom got cancer. She was diagnosed with cancer in February. So my son was born in December. And then when he was 6 weeks old, she got diagnosed with ovarian cancer.
Oh, man.
And so it was really hard. So at that point I had to, like, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
You're fine.
Well, is your mom here at this time?
Yes, she made it. It was a miracle. But I had to go work as a hostess, and I was cleaning houses.
Okay,
So
so
that-
service industry and cleaning people's homes.
Yes. And so that I could help her with all her medical bills and stuff like that in Colombia. And so I remember my ex-husband, like, he was like, well, if I'm going to be moving you around all these places for you to work, you got to give me money for gas. It was like crazy. It was nuts.
And you got 2 jobs. Got
Hey,
it.
babe, I'm charging gas money. No,
Yes.
no, she gets her own money. Like, you know
It
what
was
I mean?
it was
Like,
nuts because I couldn't drive. I didn't know how to drive.
Yeah, and well, I guess it wasn't really like
It-
Uber probably wasn't
No,
a big
not
deal
2012.
yet.
I don't even think if it
You
would have
pro-
been, I
you didn't
probably
know
didn't
about
even
it
know
at
about
all.
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you like,
Yeah.
you're just alone.
Yes. And then thankfully, I had a really sweet friend that I met, and she would like sometimes go pick me up, take me either to the bus stop or to work. And it was very hard at the beginning. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it at all. It was really
Well,
hard.
Well, let's get to the good part then.
Yeah.
What led you to meeting your current husband, and what went from there to real estate? Because the timeline says that you met him, and it seems like your life got a lot better.
Yes, 1,000%.
where's-
I call him my saving grace. So I got divorced, and maybe like 2 years later, I was working as a bartender at the time and at T-Mobile. I was at T-Mobile selling phones for
Here in the
8
area?
years
Here in the area.
at Newport News.
Okay.
So I worked at T-Mobile, and I was bartending here in Virginia Beach.
So
And
you hold on. So you were T-Mobile and across the HRBT.
That's what I'm saying. She has drive. So it's like, where did you
Yeah.
get that?
Well, but that's what we're getting at here. You know,
Yeah.
we want the people to know because everybody sees that you're working out and you're spending time with your family and you're selling a lot of houses. They don't see the struggle. They don't see the hard work. They don't see the long nights. They don't
Right.
see the early mornings. So that's what we're peeling back the onion and telling the people the truth. You
yeah,
know? So-
yeah. So I was working as a bartender Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, and trying to make ends meet, and I was supporting my son. So obviously, the shock of going from being married and releasing all of the stress and the pain from all those years of
Absolutely. I got
Domestic abuse.
I have a divorce ribbon.
yeah. I was hiding behind drinking, and because I was in the area of like bartending and stuff like
and
that.
sailors.
Yes, I was like staying up until late. After the bar would close, we would stay there
Yeah,
like
after
having
party,
beers and
right?
whatever,
Yeah.
right? So one night, I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee back in the day, and I was driving down the tunnel, and I was falling asleep because I was, kind of like drunk. And my truck, my wheels hit the side of the tunnel. Thankfully, nothing happened. Just the noise and
Woke you up.
Yes, woke me, and I was like freaking out the whole entire way to my house. So I never fall asleep again. But then that was a Saturday night, and then Sunday, broke person mentality. I don't have $1,000 or $1,500 to go change my wheels, but I have good credit, so I'm gonna go change my car. Right, I'm gonna go trade in my car to get a new car
Okay.
because I can't drive with these rims like this. Whatever. So I Googled after I'm meeting at T-Mobile, like dealership near me that's open on a Sunday. Only my husband's dealership was open. So I drove there to trade in the vehicle, and I bought a Traverse, and he was the one taking care of me that day. So he only works one Sunday a month, and that was the one Sunday that he worked that month. So it kind of like was meant to be for me to go there and meet him. And then he started like sending me a message. He made me go back to sign my paperwork like 5 times.
He knew
Kudos,
what he was
Travis.
doing.
Good job, Travis.
Yeah.
And then one day he was like, "Do you have a sister?" I'm like, my husband is really good looking, by the way. I was like, why would he be asking me if I have a sister?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I asked him like, why? And he was like, well, you're so good looking. You're beautiful. I'm assuming if you have a sister, she's going to be just as beautiful as you are. I was like, okay, well, no, I don't have a boyfriend. So hi. And we started talking a little bit, and it just took off from there very quick. Like, I think within 3 months we were living together, and
Yeah.
here we are, super
That's
married.
awesome. Great story.
Yeah.
Love it.
I just got one question before, fill this gap. When did you start learning how to drive?
And speak English.
So
Yeah,
Let's
like
skip some
there's a
stuff.
little bit here.
Yeah.
So I went to a bilingual school when I was in Colombia, but Obviously I graduated when I was 16 years old, and I didn't move here until 23. So it was a big gap of me not talking in English, because in Colombia there's like literally no need for it,
Right.
you know. And so when I got here, most of it had like left me, or it was very dormant. And it took me a while. You know, the one thing I do give my ex is that he would like force me when we would go to restaurants, like, you can try to order, and, you know, try to communicate yourself with people. So it started coming back a little bit, but obviously I have my heavy accent. When I get mad, it's like, whoa, very noticeable. But then, now that with my husband, he's American, so I really don't speak much in Spanish,
Right.
other than with my mom and my best friends.
What about the kids? Are you teaching them?
They do. So these little suckers are very smart, because they don't talk to me in Spanish because they know I know English. But the conversations they have with my mom, they're full and blown in Spanish. It's absolutely crazy.
So I have the same thing.
I love it.
So, I mean, I moved my mom here, and it's like when she was, look, good job on you, because I can't have my mom living with me. So it's like after 3 months, we got her. Yeah, we got her a house, and she has her own house. But during the weeks we need her, she comes over and she watches the kids, which is great. It's grandma's watching them.
Yeah. Nothing better than that.
And yeah, she talks to the kids in Spanish.
So they're getting both, man. That's awesome.
But they won't talk to us in Spanish.
Oh, no.
You know, everything's like, ¿quieres más arroz? ¿Quieres más
Yeah.
whatever?
They'll respond to you in English.
Yeah.
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 But they won't.
I'm
They won't.
pretty sure that Jackson is gonna speak fluent Spanish.
It's so cute
He's
to
like
see.
the only one in the house, but Evie will teach him, and he learns it like it's scary. He's like, oh wow, that's crazy. So I think they probably like just talk. You know, they might be talking about me, and I don't know. And then they laugh. But
What about well, how's your mom taking it? You know, you're away. I think I heard you talking. I don't know if it was your mom or your uncle or somebody. You're basically scolding them about what they're eating.
That's my uncle. He's
that was the phone call.
Yeah. I kind of picked up like it's typical Latina. Like you're not eating right. This is what you're feeling like
he's
shit.
had some health issues in Colombia, and he's supposed to eat very clean, and he's not. So he landed at the ER last night, and I was having a little.
Yeah, and so your mom moves here, and how is she taking it? I
know she didn't move here willingly.
Okay.
What does that mean?
She came to visit. She had a visa, right? So she would come once a year for 6 months. To help me out a little bit, support me, be with me, because I was divorced by myself, blah blah. And she came, and so I have to backtrack a little bit. My husband and I were trying to have a kid together. We couldn't, so we ended up doing IVF.
Okay.
So my daughter is an IVF baby. So when she was born, I was like, I need a break from medicine, from hormones, from all these shots. I had gained like 75 pounds throughout all that process of my pregnancy. So I told my husband, like, I don't think I need birth control. We can't have kids, I need a break. And so I got a really bad postpartum depression when my daughter was born. And it was like everything I was feeling in my body made me think that I was like having some sort of cancer at all times. It was crazy. I was in a very dark place. And so there was this news that came in wherever I saw it, I don't remember. And they were talking about like breast implants and like these type of cancer that they cause. And my mind went absolutely crazy. And within 2 weeks from that, I already had a surgery plan to get them out. So my plastic surgery is in Colombia. So I was going to fly back to Colombia. And, I did. I flew back, and I was going to get my implants removed. But then I found out while I was there that I was, again, pregnant with my son, with my baby.
So you can't do nothing.
So I was like, there is absolutely no way. That's not my blood. You messed up my blood. I need another draw. So they took my blood. I went to the lab. And on the way there, I told my mom, like, my mom was still in Colombia. Stop me at a pharmacy. I'm going to get a P test, and it's going to be negative, and I'm going to tell them they're crazy. Well, the thing was super positive. So I was super upset at the situation, obviously. Came back, didn't do anything, obviously. Came back, and then she was going to come visit and stay with me because of my depression was so bad. She was going to come stay with me 6 months. And so she came here in December, and in March, COVID happened. So they closed the airports and all this stuff. So she couldn't go back home. So I applied to get her.
About that. I forget about COVID.
Yeah. I had to get her visa extension. I applied for it, paid for it. But they never answered me until 2 years after to let me know that they would extend it for a year. So I'm like, okay, well, your math is not mathing right now. Like, she is way past her permit, so she's not going back. So then I started my process to become a citizen because I never saw the need of doing that. I was always like, there was not a big difference other than this. I couldn't make her become a resident without me being a citizen first.
Right.
So I had to apply for that, and now we're in the process of getting her residence. But basically, that's how she was forced to stay with us.
So where in there did you decide to go get your real estate license?
So it was funny. When I was pregnant with my son, my husband is like very fair, and he likes for all the kids to have their own bedrooms. And, you know, my mom was living with us, so we only had our bedroom, our oldest, my daughters, and my mom's. So Noah was going to be born without a bedroom. But I was like, babe, realistically, he's going to sleep with us for a year. He's not going to be in a bedroom. So we should wait. He was like, no, we need to sell the house, buy a new house, blah, blah. So then we met with the realtors that had helped him buy his property.
Yeah.
And they were like, you have the personality. This is Marilyn and Ron Rivera. I don't know if you guys know them.
We know.
Yeah. So they were like, you have the personality. You should look into real estate. And at the time, you know, very naive, I had it was a long time for me to understand the magnitude of money here in the States, like dollars, like what they truly meant. So for me making, you know, my $14 an hour that I was making at the time and having the benefits I had, I was like,
I'm doing all right.
I got it. You know, my husband makes good money. Like, we're okay.
Yeah.
I'm good, you know?
Right.
And then I was like, just the thought of like not having a paycheck and going to a commission 1,000% based.
Got to be a little crazy. Right?
Yeah. So I was like, no, absolutely not. And so Ron met with me a couple of times, and he was like, hey, Steph, I just think you don't like see the big picture. And so he started like breaking down a commission check, and I was like mind blown, obviously.
Right.
And still at that point, I was like, how can you make so much money? Like, there's got to be something that's not being honest here in this conversation. Like, there's no way. And so I started like investigating a little bit more, and he convinced me. So I went and I got my license. I passed on my first try, by the way.
Nice.
With my little broken English. So yeah, that's how I got into real estate.
So now, I mean, let's talk about how you built your business so quickly.
So
Well, I say so quickly loosely. I know what's required to do what you do. So I'm just saying 2.5 years that's quick. You know? So how? Let's talk about that.
So when I started doing real estate with them, I was a photographer. I was working at T-Mobile, and I got into real estate. So I had a ton of debt from all those years that I was a single mom trying to survive. And when I got my first commission check, it was like $2,500 because it was a silo lead. And I was so excited. I was like, because that's what I would make in probably like a month and a half, clear it after taxes,
Absolutely.
probably a month and a half. So I was like, you know, I took these buyers on a couple of showings. We clicked really good. Then an inspection, and then an appraisal, and then boom. And I was like, whoa, like, what is this? You know, so I got very excited about that. And so I got licensed in August, and I didn't start actually.
2021.
21.
Okay.
But I didn't start like working in real estate until October, because it was like denial moment. Like, I don't want to come up like, hi, I sell houses now. Like, come buy a house from me.
I should do this. How do I?
Yes. So then my husband was like, you just got to do it. Just
100%.
make a post on your Facebook and just do it.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I'm just like scared. People's going to think that I'm so ridiculous for doing this, and she must be struggling, that she's going to try something else and blah, blah. So I was like not wanting to try it for the first 60 days. So when I finally came out, I did it. My brokers put me on the CeeLo leads that they had. And so I closed 2 of those and 2 personal buyers. from October to December. So I was like, I literally made what I would make in 7 months working at T-Mobile in those 3 months. And I was
with both your hustles, right? Like,
yeah, because I was making at T-Mobile like 30 grand a year, maybe 28. And from my pictures, my photography had grown a little bit. I was making, I think the last full year that I did it, I maybe made like 50. I was probably making more from that than T-Mobile at the point.
Gotcha.
I got really good at doing newborn pictures. And so I was charging like $1,000 per baby.
Okay.
But, there's so many photographers and it's just hard to get clients. So I would maybe have like a baby or two a month and family sessions. And my Christmas minis were like really big. But so with making that much money in those, from October to December, I was like, I need to be smart because I've struggled my entire life, right? So now I see this opportunity of being able to make a good amount of money. So I'm like, well, you're not going to be stupid. You're not just going to go blow your money up and go back down to square zero. So I paid off my debt. And then I set a goal and I said, by December of 22, I'm going to quit T-Mobile and I'm going to just dive in full time into real estate. But my managers at T-Mobile, like, they were sick and tired of me because I would literally always have clothes in my car. Whenever a showing request was come through Zillow, I would like run to the bathroom, don't care about nobody. I would change my clothes, run out, take my lunch break, go to showings.
Sounds like Eric's last year in the Navy.
take an hour lunch break, come back. My manager would be like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm so sorry. It just took a little longer, blah, blah. But they saw the hustle, right? And they were like covering up for me. But it got to a point where it was just very noticeable where everybody was complaining about it. And so I was like, I need to figure these out sooner rather than later because I'm going to end up getting fired. And I don't want to leave being fired. I want to quit.
You want to leave on your terms.
Yes. So
not even quit. You're just moving on.
Yeah, basically. So from January to April, I made my full year of income at T-Mobile. So I was like, well, I was used to making $30,000 and living off of this amount of money.
Right.
So I basically, if I quit now, I have a full year to pay for my responsibilities at my home.
That made you comfortable to quit.
Right.
To walk away.
And if I don't sell a house in a year, then I need to reconsider my options, right? So,
but you just sold how many in 6 months? So
right.
You're also like, I know I can do this.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've always like self-doubted myself a lot because sometimes I can't believe like good things are happening in the way they're happening because of everything that I went through. Absolutely. So it's like a little bit of a denial.
Trust me. I'm with you. I'm serious. I question a lot of what takes place, and then you remember back like, wait a minute, I deserve this.
Yes.
I've been through a lot.
Yes.
He's been through a lot. Anybody that's winning at a high level has probably been at rock bottom at some point.
1,000%. Yes. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And I almost have a heart attack. I was so stressed out and so nervous.
Yeah.
I think the first week I couldn't sleep. I didn't know what to do with my life.
But now you're like flipping houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was like,
yeah, and I mean 2023, which was a lot of people struggled. You persevered. I saw the picture. I think one of your last posts not too long ago. You had all your awards on your
Oh yeah, I got
table.
12. I sold 41 last year.
Yeah, that's not bad for year 2.
Yeah.
Correct.
First one I sold 27.
Yeah.
I'm at 22 now.
Yeah, so you're meant for this, right? Like you start to get that feeling, right? Like, hold on.
Yes.
I am supposed to be doing this.
Yes. Yeah. And, because of everything that I've gone through, I've learned how to value people for what they are, not what they have. So
like we'll make sure we get that clipped and sent to you. That's I love that.
Thank you. So I feel like people like clients, they connect with me because of that value I give them. Like, I value, I see you, I listen to you, I hear you, I understand your needs, I understand your fears, I understand your emotions.
I am you.
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
I've been there, done that. I want to help you get through that. That's it.
Yeah, so everybody always speaks of what they felt working with me, and then they recommend me out a lot. So now my business, I think my retail side of the real estate, besides my flip, I think is just literally all referrals. Like everybody that comes to me is from following
That's
me
the
on
best
Instagram.
business to build.
Yes, or referrals.
100%. Because you don't want to get caught in the hamster wheel of always, you're chasing somebody else's lead source.
Yes.
You want to be the lead source.
Right.
And, you did it in the beginning to get your kickstart, but now you're seeing the fruits of your labor and how you take care of
And
people.
I was on those little leads only because I switched brokerages. So I was with Marilyn and Ron until 2022 August. So maybe like 8 months of my career I was with them. And then after that I went to First Class, and I've been there for, it's going to be 2 years in August.
Yeah, well, that's all great. That's like the perfect story I'm looking for and message I'm looking to deliver to everybody. Like, that's the purpose of this whole thing. I think people see what people like us do in the industry, and they think it's easy, or they think, there's some secret, or it's just like,
like
no,
minimal effort. Like,
yeah, bro,
No.
like you're just not doing the work, and
Yeah.
it's probably the work on yourself that you need to do first that's going to get you there, which I believe you're a testament to. So
Yeah.
the next thing I would say is, what do you do besides real estate? What do you do for fun? What do you enjoy doing? What's the definition of your peak life? Like, how are you trying to live your life and be?
My kids, I want to see them enjoy so much everything that I couldn't. And it's more like, now that I'm in the position that I'm in, it's more like taking them on trips. We just did our first international trip with them to DR.
Nice.
We just got back like a week and a half ago or so.
Love it.
And they were just so happy. My daughter is super sassy, and she was like so happy. So it's, I have little time that I can spend with them. Sometimes yesterday I got home at 8:00 at night.
Right.
The day before I got home at like 7. So, I don't have a whole lot of like free time, and that is a little bit of a struggle that I'm going through. It's kind of like learn how to balance, because I'm such a giver that I am the same way with my clients.
Yeah.
So I don't have like set boundaries per se. So I'm available all the time.
Yeah.
So that takes, a little bit of time away when I'm there, but I'm not mentally there.
Yeah.
So
But, I mean, you're 2.5 years in, right? Like, you're gonna refine that, you know
Right.
What I mean? You'll get to a point where you feel like your time is just as valuable as theirs, and when they really rock with you and they're gonna support you, they'll feel the same way.
and they'll respect those boundaries.
Absolutely, because your clientele is gonna become more mature, more sophisticated, but when you get to that's the sweet spot, and you're definitely on your way, obviously, quickly. Top producer first year, top producer second year, flipping houses second year, like, you're killing it. The time management piece, it comes with time,
Yeah.
because it's new. It's still new, really.
Yes, it's still
2.5
a
years
lot.
is still, well, everything for you has been new for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Literally.
But you just adjust and keep pushing, and it'll. There's a saying, shit'll buff out. Everything's gonna be all right. You're putting in the work. That's step one. So
yes, it's never impossible, and that's a true testament that I can, say I'm a living proof of it.
Let me ask you this: were you working this hard back in Colombia?
I
Like
was
double-
I was a server in a restaurant. Then I moved over to work in a little bar. I've been working since I'm 16.
Right.
Because life financially over there is very hard, and my mom not always made the best decisions. So yeah, I used to work the bar hours when I became the manager was from like 11:00 in the morning until 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
So it was like a long shift, and that was 6 days a week.
Because that's something we touched on a few podcasts ago with it was Linda Harrison, which people forget. Like, growing up, like, people just want to work one job and make everything happen. Buy a house, buy a car. It's like, no, man, we grew up like working multiple jobs.
Yes.
If you wanted those luxuries, like, you had to have another job.
And then, I think it's so much different sometimes for people like in our countries. There's no buying a house. There's no buying a car when you're just a regular person. In my country, at least, you have to be born in that setup family that comes from having money. But for you to go to have a lot of money on your own, there's no opportunity for that over there. You know, if you don't have, like, for example, your dad that was high up in this company and then you went to college and then your dad helped you get into this company, then you don't have the opportunity of achieving these type of things. Like, if you're just fresh out of college, they don't hire you because you don't have experience. And then if you're 35 years old, they don't hire you because you're too old. So it's just, over there is very, very hard. Credit over there doesn't work like it works here.
Yeah. Doesn't even exist.
No, it's crazy. So when are you going to have, let's say in the exchange to Colombian pesos, $15,000 to go buy a car when you can't build your credit because they won't give you anything because you don't have a great job? It's just like a pile of like, no. And, you know, it's hard. And then when I came here, it was just such a big change that I thank God that he made me go through all the things that I've gone through, because I think he was preparing me mentally to be able to have me in the right mental place and emotionally be ready to be able to control and manage what I'm doing now.
Absolutely.
And not just go crazy with it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like what I see, this is an industry that's very flashy, unfortunately. Like, everybody wants to flash who has more because they do more. So I think that a lot of agents get carried away in that toxic cycle, right? And
100%.
And so now you made your first year you made $100,000, and you went and you spend 80, and you are left with nothing. And then
you owe Uncle Sam.
Yes, and then you're in debt because your taxes are going to be 60 or 40 or, you know, whatever. Yeah. So I just feel like God prepared me. And don't get me wrong, I like to buy me, you know, nice things here and there. But I just feel like I'm in a position now that the more I make, the more I want to invest, because I want to, in 10 years or 20 years, look back and say, like, I was smart with my one opportunity. Because I feel like in life, you don't get opportunity to be very successful. You get your shot, and it's in your hands to make the best out of it and to make it work. And so if you waste it, then shame on you. You know, is it going to come back that way in that magnitude? Probably not. So I've taken this opportunity to where, like, this is my only time, and I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to kill it, because this is the only shot that I have.
I love it. No plan B.
No.
I don't have one either. This is it.
Yes.
all of this. Do you have any more questions, man?
Well, that's kind of, she was just touching on it. 10 years, I mean, production, what do you intend to do? You know, 5 years, 10 years down the line.
Real estate future
now
really
your kids are older. They're grown. They're leaving your house.
Yeah, shoot, you're
no,
gonna.
they're not going to leave my house.
Oh, don't be that. Don't be that mom.
My husband is always talking about, like, you know, Jaeli's already 12, 6, 7 years. I'm like, no, sir. My kid is not. As long as he's a responsible adult, he's working.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to point something out. You're forcing your mom's relationship on yourself, and then you're going to force your relationship on your kids. Just throwing that out there.
Is that a trait that am
I
supposed to be aware of?
I don't know. I'm just pointing that out. I was like, damn.
Your wife is Hispanic, right?
She's Puerto Rican and Dominican.
Okay.
And a little bit of Vietnamese.
I think we have that in our
100%.
in our culture, where we don't kick our kids out at 18.
Like, I just always appreciate, because I come from a broken home and not really a family environment for many years of my life. That's what I love about a lot of the people at the company and my wife and just the area in general, my military service, the diversity, to see people that actually, like, care about each other and take care of each other and lift them up and push them to not even succeed, but, like, just get through obstacles. And, you know, because like you specialize in tough love too, man. Like, but it's almost comedic the way that you do it, and that's a cultural thing. And I really appreciate that. Like, it impacts my life and how I treat my children. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, because I one thing I want to commend you on also is, like, actually, this is one thing where obviously through social media, we see each other and everything. But one thing you threw us a shout out because you were like, damn, these guys are killing it. But we're watching you
Literally all my contracts have Iron Valley on them. I'm like, okay.
but it's also, it's like people forget we're in the same industry. Like we should be learning from each other. I was like, we're servicing basically the same market.
Right.
Yeah.
We're using the same contracts.
Put out the same message. Use the same information. Be a united front.
Correct.
Not everything is a recruiting tactic. Not everything is let me get in your pockets. At least not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never called you to recruit you. Not a single time. I just know you're killing it. I see you killing it. Dope. It's awesome. You're not in the media saying negative stuff about settlements. You're not in the media talking, poorly about commissions, which they've always been negotiable, just so you all know.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy that I even have to, say that. Like, that's no. So just you're doing the business
with
right.
that commission situation, I just think that it goes on you as a listing agent, and what you recommend your client to do, because they don't know any better. They're just news are just to scare people and to steer them into what they want people to be doing, right? Yep. But it's in you to be the source that's educating these people, right? They're coming to you because you have the expertise they lack, right? So if you cannot explain the value of paying a commission to a seller, you're in the wrong business. If you have 100%. A seller that it's legitimately saying, I'm not going to pay a buyer's commission, you as a listing agent are lacking how to explain this buyer why it's beneficial for them, the seller beneficial for them to pay.
To offer it at least,
Right.
And I would agree with you wholeheartedly, and we train to that. I mean, I was on a listing appointment the other day, and I asked a guy, I said, sir, let me ask you something. Do you recall paying your buyer's agent when you bought this home? Crickets, just like that.
Right.
Because the answer is no, right? So, and especially for like a military veteran, you're a veteran. This young man or woman is a veteran. They're trying to use that benefit that they've earned serving their country. They don't make a lot of money and they don't have anything to come out of pocket, but they are qualified to pay you fair market value for your home. So what's wrong with making sure the other people working hard to make that happen are also compensated?
Yeah.
That's like asking you to go to work for free.
For free. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with
you. There used to be a term for that, and we don't do it anymore. And just kind of leave it there, right?
Yeah.
But lastly, we always do this because we've interviewed a lot of people now. I don't even know how many episodes we've recorded or put out. But we started asking a while back, do you have any questions for us? Anything that we can answer?
How have you guys grown your firm so much? Because I love it. I love to see it. That's why I gave that shout out, because it's amazing. I mean, okay, when I was going to get my real estate license, I asked one of your agents, which was crushing to my heart because it was a very ugly response. But I was like, hey girl, I think I'm gonna go get my license. I had actually taken pictures of her and her family. That's how I met her. And I wanted to see if there was like anything you could help me for the test, or like tell me what I need to be studying more than others, like what's the questions look like. Yeah. And she was like, oh girl, I come from a real estate background because my mom owns a brokerage, and don't worry about it. You're going to fail the test like 6 times. I failed it 5 times. Just go back and take the test. It'll be okay. You'll pass at some point. But never helped me with anything. Like, that was the only thing she said to me. And I was like, okay, well, I told my house. And then when she said that to me, my husband was like, oh, you're going to do so great. And inside of me, I was terrified. I was like, I'm not going to pass this test. There's absolutely no way I'm going to pass this test. And so when I passed it, I was super excited. But it goes to say, since then, I've been hearing from you guys, right? I've been seeing your firm. And I started, it was either you or you. I started like seeing you on Facebook. This was like 3 years ago. But I've seen how fast your firm has grown. And that to me is like amazing, because I'm guessing, the culture you guys have within your brokerage has to be great.
Yeah. So a lot of people have a lot of opinions. Most of them are wrong because they're built on inaccurate information. When you're doing well, people hate on you a lot.
Oh,
they
1,000%.
talk a lot of shit about you when you're not around, and and they pretend in your face. And yes, I'm calling all of you out. I'm right here. Because that shit just gets old. You know?
I went through that when I was in a team up until November. I've been a solo agent for the past 6-7 months. And all the things that were said about me, let me tell you, they're absolutely crazy. Because everybody knows that's not who I am. I gave my opinion of a person. Maybe I was rough with the words and how I said the things, and I said it to the wrong people. But when they came to ask me, I said yes.
I've done that before too. So,
I mean, if you have an opinion of somebody, we're in a free speech country, right? And I said what I needed to say and how I felt.
Yeah.
And I was taking down like I was the absolute worst human being of the entire universe. It was crazy. And then when they saw me crashing it after getting out of that team, there's no way. And it got to the point where they were saying I was stealing their leads. And that was because that was the only way I was able to literally triple my business as a solo agent compared to when I was in the team.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Take me to court.
There becomes a point where none of it matters, right? So, but to your point, the answer is, first of all, it starts at the top. The leadership team, from Jama in North Carolina to, Edgar opening Prestige as a principal broker, to Edwin being a managing broker at 2 offices, to Eric taking over running the Red Mill office, to our staff growing and filling positions as we grow. Like, there's so many moving parts to it, but it 100% starts with the people at the top being coachable, teachable, being willing to grow, and listening to criticism too. Like, I'm not perfect by any means. None of us are. But we all lift each other up when somebody's down. Mm-hmm. So that's where it becomes like that's the win, right? I was just out in Chesapeake finishing our graduation for the peak performance training that we hold. And I told Edwin, I said, hey, we got this interview scheduled, bro. One of us has to go, or Edgar's just going to be setting up cameras, right? So he's like, no worries, bro. He took over the middle of the lesson. We stopped. We took a group photo so I could get out of there. They finished graduation while I was on my way here. I come here. He's already got it set up. Like, we're a family. Like, there's not like a and we treat people fairly. Like, all the commission plans, everyone gets treated the same. I mean,
doesn't matter if you're new or 100% agent.
If you're 80-20 or 100%, it doesn't matter. You can still come to the trainings on Wednesdays and Fridays. You can use any office that we have. There's so many reasons, but the real reason is the people. Lori Serrano is our director of operations. She's been with us since the day we opened. The original co-founder, Eric Edwards, we served in the Navy together. Him and his wife were clients of mine at one point, and then
you started you were the.
Him and Eric were the original founders
here in Hampton Roads. Yes, so it's a franchise. We bought the franchise from the original founders of Iron Valley in Pennsylvania. We found them on Facebook while we were at a real estate conference, and then we did a call, and we liked it better than some other options that were being presented, so we chose to buy one. And
you guys started just one office together, and then
this office, yep, this office turned into everything you see now.
Oh, wow, that's awesome!
So
how long ago?
We opened May 1st, 2020.
Oh my goodness!
Right in the middle of the pandemic, like the city just shut down.
Oh gosh!
Then there was a little break where they opened up in July. We had the mayor in, did a grand opening, and then it shut back down. So, it's been a wild ride. But
how many agents you got now?
We're creeping on 300 between agents and staff, everything together. And I'm sure that'll continue to grow. But, yeah, I mean, the answer to your question is just that everybody takes care of each other. Like,
yeah,
or at least we try to. You
can't satisfy everybody.
Yeah, but there are people that don't fit the culture or don't want to do the work, or maybe our model just doesn't work for them because we're very independent. We train to build your business without leads, even though we do have lead programs.
And that's programs. The best way to do it.
We do have lead programs, but also nowadays in a saturated industry with high interest rates, less buyers in the market, and listing agents that have been listing for a long time, it's hard to really get into our business and do very well right now because you can't just go out, show a house, write a contract, and it's ratified. You have to have skills. You have to be able to negotiate. You have to have a reputation. and we train and teach and lead to all of those things.
The biggest thing is we're in the field too, learning and
so you guys are still active.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
that's
we're competing brokers.
So I hate that argument, and he knows that but I always say no, we're performing brokers. How can I teach you something that I don't know? Right. We just had 113 pages of contractual changes in our market. If you are not out there combating objection handling with buyers and sellers and actively educating them, how can you teach somebody else how to do it?
Right.
I'll wait. You can't.
No.
That's the answer. You can't. You're faking. And that's okay. You keep faking and we'll keep grinding. You know
I think
what I mean?
that's something that I see a lot of team leaders that they just kind of stop producing that much because they can't do both, right? They mentally, physically, they can't control both things. So I think
you could, but it's discipline and time management.
Well, but that's why they can't because they lack that. So I feel like it's amazing to see that you guys are still performing as agents, to know your market and learn it and still training your agents.
There's also systems for that. We all take a little bit of a pay cut. We all run what's called a showing agent model, but we train these people and we pay them fairly. And that's why they stay with us, And then, of course, there are people that either they're not going to make it in real estate regardless because we have a high attrition rate, one. Or two, when you hold people accountable, when you try to be fair to everybody, there are people that don't like that. Your job as a leader is not to do what everybody wants. It's to do what everybody needs.
I think a lot of times in this business, what newer agents think of them when they go into a team is that, they're going to feed me everything I need and I'm just going to go make 6 figures a year because I'm now in this team.
Yep.
And, yes, there's some teams that just feed you leads and do this and that. But when you don't teach yourself how to go out there and find and generate your own business,
Absolutely.
What if Zillow goes away? You're going to be screwed. You never learn how to generate your business.
Or maybe you can't afford it. Or maybe you're not on their preferred list for their
that
flex
thing
program. But that's because that's not the only way to do it.
And there's nothing better than, for example, in my case, I love when people reaches out to me like, hey, Steph, I want you to help me buy a house. Hey, Steph, I want you to come sell my house.
Yeah.
Because, or hey, today, one of my followers in Instagram that I used to be her photographer, she sent me a message and she was like, hey, girl, I have a friend that's having issues selling her house and she wants to stop working with that agent. Can you help her? Yeah. Because I know you take care of your clients first and foremost. And that kind of stuff to me makes me feel like, okay, I'm a story junk. I'm sharing my life through stories all day, every single day, right? But I feel like people that
attracts people.
Yes, they have been able to know who I am.
They engage 100%.
The goofy me, the silly me, the smart me,
absolutely.
And I feel
That
like
reminds me.
and I feel like that's how you want to run your business and that's where you want to build your businesses.
Sure.
Like you said, you are the lead generation machine in your business, not your team leader, not Zillow, not, someone that's just feeding you leads. It's got to be you.
Yeah, we used to call leads something else, a relationship. Just treat people right and okay, I'm not saying everybody will. All right, I'm not ignorant. I'm not naive to there are some shitty humans out there.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
If you take care of people more often than not, they'll reciprocate that.
And life itself is going to take care of you.
Yeah, and if they don't, you got to cut them out
Quick.
That's it. You're in control of your life.
Yes.
So I don't have anything else. I think it's been a great episode. Thank you all for following, watching. Please like, comment, share. Until next time.
Thank you guys for having me over.
Thank you.
Absolutely.